Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Coach's Corner. My name is Dwayne Dwyer. I go by the Mindset Coach,
My name is the Uncle Junior, and I go by the Consistency Coach.
and we are your coaches for Coach's Corner. Listen, as always, I like to start the show off by saying if you're here and you're just looking to listen, you're not going to do anything with any of the information that we give you, then you may not be in the right place. However, if you're here and you're looking for actionable steps to where you can be the best version of yourself and leave a lasting impact in the lives of others in the community in which you're associated with, then you're in the right place at the right time. In fact, I believe you were destined to be here to listen to myself, the mindset coach, and my good friend over there, the Uncle Junior, the consistency coach, and listen to the things and the information that we got to share with you. So that being said, the Uncle Junior himself, the consistency coach, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. All is well. The big computer went down, but I'm on the laptop and we making it happen tonight. They calling for snow out here and in the NC, so that means that everything is going to shut down. So uh, it is what it is, man. But what's going on in, as Al Roker was saying, your neck of the woods?
Well, pretty much the same thing. Pretty much the same thing. I think everybody on the southeastern version of these United States are experiencing the same cold, the same snow, and hoping for the same, delays and closures for tomorrow. And I think it's pretty much already been put out, regardless of where you are and what you do. A lot of those businesses and schools and whatnot has been closed already, so that's a good thing. Leaders making accurate decisions based upon the information so that we can come up with the best solution that's best for everyone. I think that's a good thing. I think it's good to see people making leaders making decisions in a timely fashion. So all is well, man. I'm stuff like I get excited about stuff like that because I've seen we've seen being in the army where leaders like they drag their feet with making decisions. It's like, why?
Yeah.
All of the information is here. What more do you want? So
Yeah.
yeah, man, all is well.
I remember doing being coaching, coaching like Pop Warner, coaching Little League and stuff like that. And kids go to school all day long, and then when they come home, they got homework and eat and snack and stuff, and then they have football practice. And usually football practice usually about 6 to 7:30, or sometimes from 6:30 to 8 o'clock or something like that. Usually an hour and a half, about 3 days a week. So sometimes what happens is, they calling for rain or thunderstorms or something like that. It's summertime and, kids are in school and stuff like that, once the summer is over and when school starts back up. And, coaches like they want to practice, but they be waiting till the last minute. And I'm just like, look, you got to realize people got a whole bunch of other stuff going on. And if you wait until they say, hey, we're going to wait till everybody to get to the field and before we decide, like, no, like either we're going to have practice or we ain't. Why can't we just make a all call at, at, at 4 o'clock? Hey, at 4 o'clock, no matter what, we're going to make a decision. That way people know whether or not they need to get ready, waste their gas. You know what I mean? All of these other things that go along with it. So, having leadership who make common sense decisions, makes sense and is a lot easier than working with somebody who don't display common sense on a consistent basis.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Fear. That's kind of like what I relate to. Listen, I know we are talking about the snow. Everybody here, wherever you are, let us know if it's snowing or whether it has snowed in your area. I want to kind of make sure that we kind of, just it's fun. Like, yeah, let's that's fun. Let's do that. So if it's snowing in your area or has snowed, by all means, put it in the chat. That way we'll see it. And while you guys
no
are doing,
emojis.
yeah, give me a snow emoji.
Yeah,
And while you guys are doing that, they give us the perfect opportunity to speak to the most livest chat in social media because, listen, we want you guys to understand that we appreciate you. You're valued. And not only do you show up, but you actually participate and you support. And we look forward to our conversations. And as I get ready to call your names, by all means, go ahead and like it. Like it. So click the like button wherever you are, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on Instagram. Speaking of Instagram, my bad, I forgot to hit the live button over there. Whether you're on Instagram, all that great stuff. Go ahead and hit the like button and share it. I'll say again, and share it. That's something that we got to get better at doing. We need to share the shows that we are participating in. So that being said, Crystal Everett, good to see you. His divine appointment, good to see you and welcome. Nick D, good to see you. Welcome. Let's see, Miss Charlotte Jordan, good to see you as always and welcome.
She's doing.
Let's see. I think it's pretty much all of the. Oh, Benjamin Collier, good to see you. Welcome. Um,
Benjamin, my
Snow
guy.
near Atlanta. Yep, there you go. Snow. Crystal said Sloan, where she at? Lisa said it's snowing in South Carolina. Yeah, man, it's pretty much everywhere. So there you go.
Man,
But listen, if you guys are still out there in the YouTube sphere, Facebook sphere, or whatever other sphere you're in, go ahead and put your name in the chat and just say hello, whatever the case may be, because we like to acknowledge you by name. So with that being said, I'm gonna lean to the back and let my brother take the wheel.
man, take the wheel, man. It was a good introduction, man. I'm liking and enjoying how the show is going so far, man. Let me grab a sip of water for my mouth get too dry. All right, with that being said, man, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're just gonna be talking a little bit about what to do when you fall behind on your goals. Falling behind on your goals for a lot of us is just at the end of the day, it's just part of the process. Coach always talks about how things ebbs and flows, and you know good things happen, bad things happen. This is just part of life, but the hard part is sometimes when we get stuck or we get in the situation to where we don't understand why we are falling behind in our goals. So hopefully tonight, between myself and Coach, we can unpack this a little bit, and everybody can walk away with a little bit more information, a little bit more insight about what to do when you actually fall behind in your goals. And I also want to start off by saying that, again, reiterate that it is common, So a lot of times, what people do is they start by beating themselves up because they didn't reach their goal, or they set out at the beginning of the January that, hey, you know what, I'm gonna start going to Planet Fitness or the CrossFit, whatever like that, on January the 1st, and um, I'm gonna be in it. I'm gonna be hard charging. I'm gonna be on my diet and stuff. And then next thing you know, January 10th rolls around, and then you're no longer on it. So the reality of it is just part of life. So what are we going to do about it? So we're going to start tonight off with the first question: is why is guilt often the first emotion when falling behind on your goals, and how can we use it as a motivator instead of a barrier?
Hmm, I think this is a phenomenal question. It's January 21st. I'm gonna start off by saying that. Um, and if I am feeling guilt on January 21st about a goal that I set at the beginning of the year, not necessarily saying it was a New Year's resolution or whatever, then I think something that I need to analyze is whether or not the goal has been in existence long enough for me to feel guilty. I think um, having a clear understanding of my goals and the times that I actually have allotted to accomplish them is important. But then there's the aspect of guilt. And why do I feel guilty? Well, guilt is in turn kind of like self judgment. And so I feel comfortable with, well, I feel comfortable with judging myself in most cases negatively about the goal that I thought I was going to achieve. But the issue for me is that guilt of any version is not good. So what we got to do is go back and redefine where that guilt comes from. Why am I judging myself? Why do I feel guilty? So forth and so on. And do I feel guilty because I feel like I'm not as far along as I thought I should have been? That's more so an observation. That's not the opportunity to feel guilty. That's the opportunity for me to make adjustments and changes and things of that nature. So when I look at guilt, guilt is generally the first emotion because no one ever taught me how to manage my emotions. No one ever taught me how to use my emotions in the proper context. And so it's easy to reach the low hanging fruit than it is to climb all the way to the top of the tree and get the fruit all the way at the top. If I am left to deal with my emotions on my own, to learn my emotions on my own, then I always, most cases, most cases, I always go to the worst side of it: guilt, self blame, judgment, things of that nature. And so when those things happen, if we want to turn it around, I can look at that thing instead of saying, okay, well, you know, looking at the guilt, what I'm putting on myself in relation to my perception of where I should be with my goal, why don't I just take a look at it and say, okay, this is objective information in real time about what I have been actually doing from then up to now. It might reveal some things to myself. Number one, I'm lazy. That's an honest assessment. There's nothing wrong with saying that. Number two, I don't maximize my time. I don't maximize the things that I do with my time accurately. I may not be lazy, but I may be doing a lot of busy work, but that busy work may not necessarily equate to the goals that I'm actually working on. And then number three, like, is this a goal? What have I properly broken the goal down into bite-sized actionable steps in order to get all the way to goal accomplishment? Because a lot of times what ends up happening is that we set goals way out here, but we don't do the milestone reverse engineering and the benchmarks to get us to goal accomplishment. So if I am feeling guilty right now, I probably don't have benchmarks set up so that I can determine where I am in accomplishing my goal. Very long-winded response, bro. But again, I go back to the point of not understanding my emotions, not understanding how to use them in proper fashion. And so therefore I abuse it. And abusing is simply means abnormal use of the thing.
Mm. So I'm looking at this. It says, why is guilt often the first emotion when falling behind on goals? I'm not there anymore. So I'm kind of speaking from I don't know if it's reformed or more mature, or not even more mature, just from a growth perspective. I do remember that when I used to fall behind on my goals, I would feel guilty, and then I think there's a group of people where I'm at right now who I don't feel the guilt anymore. I'm like, I might be like, dang, I didn't do it. And then I'm like, okay, I immediately go to trying to figure out why and figure out a reason to not fall behind on that goal again. And then I also think that there's a category of people who don't feel anything. It's just like, okay, well, I fell behind on my goal. I said I was going to work out for every day until starting on January 1st and now January 21st. And I haven't worked out in the last 11 days. So you know what? I'm just done with it. So I don't know if that's a good thing either. So, but I do think that what I'm doing is not caring and figuring out a way to move forward and complete the goal, or to figure out a way to revisit it and go down a different path in order to complete the goal. I think that's the way to go. So I guess I'm saying all of this to say, to kind of ask another question and throw it back on you again, is that what does it say about the person who does not feel any guilt or any type of emotion when they fall behind on their goal? Like, and my example would be someone who started at the beginning of the year saying that they're going to work on their diet, and then now they're at a point where they say, you know what, 2 tears in the bucket, I ain't doing the diet anymore.
Um, my initial thoughts, and that, so the delay was to try to figure out whether my initial thoughts are accurate. My initial thoughts is that they didn't care about the goal to start with. That's my initial thoughts. That's just me being transparent. Is that 100% accurate? Maybe not. I think most of it is that it wasn't. I didn't have a burning desire to accomplish that goal. That's really what I really want to say. Maybe I was motivated to accomplish that goal because that's what I thought I want. But then when I started doing the work, I felt that it was a little bit more difficult and much more challenging than what I anticipated. And so it was easy to hit. It was easy for me to hit the easy button and say, nope, don't want to do it. So that's kind of like where I want to go initially. But again, I don't think that that's 100% true across the board. I think sometimes it's the goal wasn't important to them. Next is like the work was harder than I expected. And then number three is, which probably number three might encompass all both of these, that I never made a commitment to the goal that I created.
Yeah,
So
I
that,
think all of that can be true. And I think maybe sometimes, because I think what we're doing right now is kind of going back to like some of the reasons why people don't well, why people fall behind on their goals. And sometimes it seems like where we get into is that maybe the initial goal wasn't big enough, maybe the why wasn't big enough, maybe the plan wasn't there, because like some of the things you mentioned is, the motivation, it takes a plan to evolve or to change or to adjust bad habits, or just habits in many cases. There are some people who can just make a decision and say, you know what, I'm going to stop drinking and I'm done. You know what I mean? But for the reality, for most people, in order to change their behavior, it's a process, it's a plan, it's steps that go along with it. And if you don't do that proper planning and take those necessary steps before you come up with your original goal, then it's easy to see why it's easy to stop, or easy to see why it's hard to maintain a goal in the first place.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and I think I was thinking about that as you were saying it, and I kind
Mm-hmm.
of came up with a different, uh, kind of like a not a different, but another perspective to go along with it, because I believe everything that I said and what you said also is true,
Mm-hmm.
but I also like to go back to the meaning as well. Maybe the goal never had the meaning
Yeah.
that linked them to it. Like it's like if I want to accomplish a goal and it doesn't really have meaning behind it, how committed will I make myself to it? Now, you change the dynamics of it. Let's just say it's my kids. You know what I'm saying? Something about my kids. I'm doing something for my kids, legacy building, right? Well, the meaning for the goal is not the meaning that I have assigned to the goal is linked to my kids. So now that carries a whole nother meaning than me just say, for example, wanting to lose 5, 10 pounds in the next 2 to 3 months or whatever. So yeah, that's for me. But when we start factoring in other people, specifically my kids, now that carries a huge weight for me. And so I think when we look at it, does the goal does it have meaning? Does it challenge me? And I think that's another thing as well. Sometimes we create goals because you'll hear people in space say you got to create goals that you can do. Well, if I create a goal that I know I can do, the goal is not going to challenge me. So if I just keep creating these little stair step goals, then where am I actually going? Like, what's the point? When I accomplish that goal and it only take me like 2 months to accomplish that goal, what was the point of it all? So I think all of those kind of line up in it, like meaning, challenging, commitment, all of that thing ties into it. And I think it can be a reason for all of this.
Yeah, I think sometimes when you create those small goals and you accomplishing them, you are accomplishing them. I think it can create a false sense of reality. It's like, yeah, man. And I think sometimes you can think you're doing a lot better than what you really are. Because you're like, oh, yeah, I've done this, I've done this, and I've done this, I've done this. But it's like, yeah, but it's like, okay, but like you haven't really challenged yourself or anything. Like, you're a runner, you used to run in high school, and now you're going out, you say, oh yeah, I'm gonna run 2 miles every day. We're used to running 20 miles. So like running 2 miles probably is not really challenging you. So I definitely can see how we need to put some respect on challenging when we're having goals, so because um I can definitely see the meaningful part too. Me, a lot of my fitness journey has nothing to do with me. Most of my fitness journey is external. It is about trying to live a long life and trying to be around here for my wife, for my sons, for my grandkids. That's why. That's my why. So because I made it not just about me, because let's be honest, sometimes me don't always do what's best for me. Me knows exactly what me needs to do to get by. Me knows me better than anybody else. So it's easy for me to get over on me. It's easy for me to not hold myself accountable to certain things too. But then when now I place that on, I want to be around here for someone else so that when my sons are 49, they can pick up their phone and they can say, hey, dad, what's going on? I got this going on in my life. So all of those things, wanting to be around here for those people, um, has changed my outlook on my goals when it comes to my fitness and health. So, and this kind of goes back to what you're saying, having a meaningful goal. You know, sometimes just being able to get in a tux or a dress for someone's wedding may not be enough. You know, that's a good reason, but that's also a pretty temporary goal. You know, and I think that has something to do with it too. Are your goals temporary? You know what I mean?
Mm.
What is the purpose of your goal? Is it a temporary goal or is it a long-term goal? Because that may have something to do with the reason behind the why in your goal.
You know, you said something earlier.
Uh-oh.
You did. You did. And I just want you to know what I'm about to say is your fault.
Okay.
Y'all see what I just did? I put blame on him. I passed blame. I'm not taking ownership.
I'll take it. I'll take it. But see, you
No,
see
man.
how me do? Me don't take accountability. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, man. You said sometimes we set goals so small,
Mm-hmm.
and it's easy for me to accomplish them, and then I give myself far too much credit.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that happen in our personal development journey as well? We set
It does.
we set simple goals for ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and then because okay, I give everybody a great example of what I'm saying. We claim, and I'm just being honest because that's what we do on the show.
Here we
We
go.
claim we're on this astronomical growth journey, but we have zero evidence to support that. There is nothing that I'm doing external to myself. Everything that I'm doing is internal to myself. But before I continue, if you knew how to fix the problem that you created for yourself, you never would have created the problem in the first place. Let that one sit for a second. And then we'll say that I'm going to listen to all these people out here in the YouTube sphere because they're going to give you the keys to the castle.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to give you the keys to the castle out there. That's number two. Pack that one away as well. And then we'll give ourselves credit for not being, and I'm using this as an example so y'all don't judge me. We'll give ourselves credit for not behaving the way that we used to behave, but not necessarily realizing the reason why we're not behaving the way that we used to behave is because we've isolated ourselves from those environments that triggered us to the point to where we behave the way that we used to behave. Therefore, moving forward, whenever faced with a certain level of adversity, behavior shows back up.
So are you saying the only reason I don't get drunk no more is because I don't go to the club?
I mean, I'm not saying
It
that's the
ain't.
only. I'm not saying
It's
that's the
not.
only reason.
You saying it's not really because I changed? It's just because I changed my environment and I don't hang around those people anymore.
I'm not saying that's the only reason. You could have had the previous evidence that you got
Mm-hmm.
external help, and that could be a reason why you change your environment. But if you never got any external help, never had that as a goal, a meaningful goal, if there was no meaning behind you doing that, then isolation is absolutely a reason why you no longer drink. And then you're trying to practice that in order to make that habitual.
Mm. All right, y'all getting it tonight. Y'all getting it tonight, man. Um,
See,
I don't even know if I want to go into any more
wait.
questions, man.
Hold on,
I
hold
don't
on.
know.
I got something. I got
What we
something.
got?
Mr. TMI Tate. He said some people have to remove themselves from the environment.
Now leave it right there.
Okay, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
Yeah,
you
leave
first.
it. Go ahead. No. Go ahead. You was about to say so. I just wanted to say leave it right here. I wanted us to expound on it. So
Mhm.
go ahead.
I agree. But what if they are the environment?
What do you mean? I need an example.
What if the toxicity exists within them?
Mm-hmm.
Removing myself from an environment doesn't remove it out of me. I still have the learned behavior in me.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I also agree that some people have to remove themselves from the environment too.
Mhm.
But I also think at the end of the day, you can never blame the environment. You at the end of the day, it always comes back to self. And I give you a perfect example
Mhm.
because of this. All right, so I was in the military, a long time, and I got in. I didn't had a couple of ranks a couple of times. I'm just being honest. So last time I really got in any trouble, I was in Fort Huachuca. I got demoted from E5. I got E5 again. My stuff almost went to my stuff was in JAG. Like I was about to get processed about the Army, blah blah blah. But I end up getting by all of that stuff, and I PCS to Fort Hood, right? So when I got to Fort Hood, I changed my environment. I no longer wanted to deal with certain types of people, right? So yes, I changed my environment. However, comma, I still could have sought out those types of people and gravitated towards them at the same time. But I had to make a decision within to say, hey, look, bro, you done been E1 through E5, pretty much all of them twice. It ain't gonna continue working out the way it's been doing. You got to change something in you. So yes, I PCS, I changed my environment, but however, I still had to change who I was inside while I was in the environment, because yes, environment can have something to do with it, but no buts. Yes, environment can have something to do with it as well.
Yeah, I agree, and I like to refer to this thing as a tree, right? Because believe it or not, we have a lot of similarities, and a lot of times we don't pay close attention to it. Does the tree in your yard need the environment to grow? Yes. If I move it out of this environment and put it in a different environment, can it still grow? Yes. Will it affect its growth rate? Yes. There's an ideal environment for a particular type of tree. You're not going to take a sago palm out of the state of Florida and take it up to South Dakota and think it's going to flourish. No, you're going to have to create the environment that replicates where you brought it from. So I think that's important as well. So why am I saying all of this? Environment matters. So taking the thing out of the environment does matter to the growth of the thing, but there's also an environment within the thing as well. If there's disease inside the tree, the disease is going to kill the tree. If there is disease, you heard what I just said, you heard what I just said. If there is disease inside of this, disease will start to eat at me slow. It will become disease. And it doesn't matter what environment you put me in, it's not going to stop the disease within from eating away from the inside out. So that's why I say what I say. The external environment matters, but it doesn't matter as much as the internal environment matters. Once you fix the internal environment, then the external environment can do what it's supposed to do.
So they have to have, so both are required.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
And
So
and I greatly appreciate, and shout out to Mr. TMI Tate, right?
yeah.
Great brother. And I'm not shooting down what he's saying because he's absolutely
Yeah.
right.
You're
Some
right.
people must remove themselves from the environment. I think I am a walking witness of that, right? I needed to remove myself from my environment. That is a known fact. But then after removing myself from the environment, I needed to remove that environment from outside of me. And once I removed that environment outside of me, things started looking different for me.
Yeah. Just like an alcoholic or a drug addict, like they can't, a lot of times they tell them, don't be hanging out in bars and clubs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So definitely get it. So definitely environment is important, and like you said, the internal part is just as important. So yeah, shout out to Mr. TMI. Check him out on YouTube. He goes live a couple days a week or so. I don't have his schedule, but Mr. TMI, if you are still there, feel free to drop your YouTube link in the chat so people can follow you or jump on there and see what you got going on as well. I saw a comment up here from Miss Divine Appointment.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you found it? Okay, go ahead.
Yep, there you go. No, there you go.
Yeah. So she says, so first of all, Miss Divine Appointment, appreciate you for being here tonight. Appreciate you for asking this question in the chat. She says, so consistency coach, it's our personal responsibility to conduct ourselves accordingly, no matter the environment. That is my personal opinion. Absolutely. Regardless of the environment that I'm in, I'm still supposed to be who I am. I understand, but that ain't me. When people say, this is just who I am. You know what I mean? When people say whatever, blah blah blah, I'm just the type of person, I just cuss them out. I get those people, but those ain't the people I rock with. You know what I'm saying? Those people to me are people who haven't taken charge of who they are and figured out that they haven't learned how to control their emotions. So I understand why they do those things, but as for me, I'm going to be respectful to people regardless. You can say whatever you want to say, but I'm like, as people used to say, I'm not going to stoop down to your level. I'm still going to conduct myself accordingly, how I'm supposed to act, regardless of the environment that I'm in. That's just personally me. And like we always say on this show, everybody on here is um, a subject matter expert at their own opinion. So that is my opinion. But I would like to know from Coach what his opinion is on this question since we brought it up.
My opinion is exactly as yours, sir. I
Hey,
agree. I agree. It is everybody's personal responsibility. But here's what I would share: personal responsibility is a facet of maturity. So what we have to realize is that depending upon who we're talking about, if we're talking about a full-grown seasoned adult, then absolutely let's talk about personal responsibility. If we're talking about a child, environment matters. So that's the thing I want to make sure I'm stressing. You can't tell a 12, 13, 14, even 15, 16-year old about and beat in their head about personal responsibility if the parents didn't teach them about personal responsibility, didn't teach them to be responsible, didn't teach them things that they need to learn all the way up to that point. If the streets raise them, then the streets will keep them. That's the thing. So you have to move them out of that environment and put them in a space so that they can be taught what personal responsibility is. So I'm agreeing 100%, but I don't want everybody to think that this is a blanket statement that you can throw on everybody because kids, environment matter.
I agree 100%, man. Let me take this question down and let me throw up the next one. I'm gonna skip a couple of them. I'm gonna
Yeah,
move
man,
in.
because we're 32 minutes in. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, man, I'm glad though, because I wanted this to be more of a conversation anyway,
Absolutely.
just a bunch of question and answers and stuff. So, with that being said, chat, we appreciate y'all for being here tonight. Feel free to dump questions in the chat. We have no problem getting to them. We are here on this platform tonight. At the end of the day for you guys. So if there's anything you guys want to know, feel free to add them into the chat. Here's a good one right here, man. How can you adjust or reframe your goals without feeling like you giving up on them? And I think this is a good question because sometimes that's what happens. It's like, darn it, man, I have not done what I said I was going to do. I said I was going to work out 7 days a week. It's January 21st. I haven't worked out in 11 days. And now you're feeling some type of way. Sometimes people just give up, So how can you make that adjustment or reframe those things without feeling like you're giving up on them?
So um, I like this question because this question is a trick question, right? I don't know if you intended for it to be a trick question, but the way I'm gonna answer is gonna make it to be a trick question.
Mm-hmm.
How can I adjust or reframe my goals? Well, I guess my initial thought to that is why do I need to adjust or reframe my goals? Is it necessary for me to adjust or reframe my goal? The second part is without feeling like you're giving up on it. That's what I need to adjust and reframe.
The
I need
feeling
to adjust and reframe my perspective of my goal, how I see my goals, seeing myself accomplishing my goals. So now, and I love the whole conversation about goals because we don't necessarily do them the right way, right? We don't necessarily set the goal, we don't necessarily set the benchmarks, and we don't. I mean, not the benchmarks, the milestones, and then we don't necessarily set the benchmarks that lead us to accomplishing the milestones, and the milestone lead us to accomplishing the goals. So we just set goals and said we're going to get after it, busy work, and then we're going to make them smart because that's what the internet says to do, and blah 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 blah. And I made my goals smart, but now I got accomplishment. I don't know what to do. Like I'm still stuck in my normal routine. Well, it's not the goals that I need to reframe. Maybe I need to redefine them. Maybe I need to be more elaborate about them. Maybe I need to spell them out in detail, all the way from goal accomplishment down to each milestone that gets me there. But what I really need to reframe is how I see myself accomplishing the goal. Work on this thing feeling like you're giving up on them. Where does that come from? Is this a learned behavior? Is this a habit that I actually have? Because I think some people are so conditioned to quitting that success is almost difficult. And
Mm.
then when they're successful at a thing, it blows their mind that they didn't quit more so than the fact that they succeeded. So maybe I need to work on rewiring or restructuring that condition that says, "Hey, you've done enough. Give up. Why am I giving up? What's the thing that's making me feel like it? When I get that feeling, I start. Man, I started to sing a Marvin Gaye song just, and I had to catch myself. When I get that, when I
Hey, hey.
when I get that feeling, right?
I
Does the
like it.
feeling drive me to give up? That's so. There's some things, and that's why I talk about the internal environment. There's some things within my internal environment that trigger me to respond to certain things a particular type of way. Well, once we identify those things, we got to isolate it and then root it out. Once we root it out, then that gives me the permission to override that feeling and repurpose that or reframe that into something positive that makes me motivated in that moment to keep pushing. So I wouldn't necessarily say adjust or reframe the goal. Maybe the goal does need some further refinement because we just do smart goals and think that's enough. That's not enough, right? Maybe it requires further refinement, but the thing that we need to adjust and reframe is that feeling like you're going to give up. Where does that come from? Why do I feel like I'm going to give up? And when I get that feeling, what does that feeling drive me to do?
When I get that feeling. Um, I want to start with the ending part of this, feeling like you're giving up on them. I think this right here goes back to the initial part in that whole planning. When you have a plan, part of that plan is understanding what goes on in the journey. Now, to plug coaches, what you get on Coach's Corner is generalities. When you pay for coaching, you get individuality, right? So what happens is when you work with a coach or when you work with somebody or when you're just in a really deep planning process, part of that planning is thinking about the what ifs, right? And what if this happens, right? So while you're planning your 21 days or when you're planning your workout routine and you're saying you're going to work out for 7 days in a row and you're going to run outside, are you planning for inclement weather? Are you planning for emergencies and how these things are going to throw you off? Are you planning, are you going to make up that time, make up that run, or are you just going to not do it? Like, what is your plan? What is your plan when you feel like you're giving up? Right? Because these are the things that happen. So part of that plan, that initial plan, is understanding some of the things that go on in your journey of completing your goal. So again, like Coach was saying, it's all of what he was saying and then adding on a little sprinkle of what I was saying at the same time. Because I like you said, adjusting or reframing, that starts with that whole feeling part, and you shouldn't be necessarily feeling like that. You should understand that this is part of it. You're going to want to give up. It's easy to want to give up, um especially if it's something that's new to you and it's something that's hard and challenging. That's just part of it. But the good thing about that is, like, I want to feel like giving up, because wanting to feel like giving up just make that accomplishment a whole bunch sweeter, a lot sweeter. When you's like, man, I feel it on, because every bro, you know exactly how it is when you like, man, I do not want to go to the gym today, bro. And then you go, and sometimes those be like the best workouts, man. So it's like, I like having them days where I don't feel like working out. I love them.
Yeah. Yeah. I will add to that. Like we got to get accustomed to doing hard things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If it's easy, then that's a sign. That's an indicator. Your
Mm-hmm.
comfort zone is found in easy. So maybe the goal that you set was just a little incremental goal inside your comfort zone. It looks different. It may change something, but it's still inside your comfort zone. So is it really designed for you to grow like you really think it is? Kind of like what we talked about previously, right? Maybe you're giving yourself far too much credit for doing nothing. Sorry, I'm just being an honest broker tonight.
Mm,
But that stress that you feel on this goal that you decided, that's making you feel uncomfortable, that's making you feel like you can't accomplish it, maybe all of those feelings exist because the goal is right outside of your comfort zone and
mm.
it's designed to make you punch through.
Bro, that marathon was outside my comfort zone, bro.
But you did it.
I
But you
did
did it.
it, bro.
Yeah.
Man. So I mean, yeah, that goes back to it, man. It's like, bro, because I had to reframe my goals, bro. I ended up running, I think, 3 weeks or a month earlier than what I was supposed to. But I definitely, there was something that even in the planning phase that I didn't see coming. But fortunately, I was prepared for it. You know what I mean? So
I don't think you reframed the goal. I just think you moved the event up just a little earlier than you
yeah,
anticipated. And you
yeah,
had a reason for doing so. So that's not bad. But the goal was still the same.
yeah,
I like
yeah. The goal
brother.
was still the same.
I like brother Benjamin call your question up
What do
there.
you say? What do you got? What do you got? Throw it up there. I'm on this single
Oh, that's
screen.
right. I got you. Don't worry about it. I got you.
Yeah.
He asked any favorite perspectives on time management. That's the first episode for my podcast.
Ooh.
You first, sir.
First of all, shout out to my man Ben. Like he was one of my soldiers back in the day when I was in. So definitely shout out to you. He's doing a lot of good things. He was actually on one of the consistency fitness videos over on the other YouTube channel. So um to answer his question, let me see. I don't know if I'm exactly understanding exactly what his question is, but um any favorite perspectives on time management? Yeah. So my perspective is when it comes to time management, figure out what I know coach is going to be way different because he ain't going to talk about time management because I already know what he's going to say. So I'm going to tiptoe into what he's about to say because I already know. As I was thinking about it and I started coming up with my answer, I'm just like, wait, coach, blah blah blah. All right. So answer your question is this. So what I literally just did a couple of days ago, right? Well, a couple of days ago, I was outside talking to my wife. We was on the back porch and we was having a conversation, and I had wrote down some different things that I wanted to do when it comes to my time and my day once I get home in the evening, and along with some other things and stuff like this. So pretty much what I did was when it came down to time management, I figured out what I was going to do each time throughout the day. So what I did, I pretty much broke my schedule down throughout the day. Let me make this a lot easier what it is. I plan my day. So having a conversation about a plan or about what your day looks like hour by hour is a good way to work on or to have a conversation about the different perspectives about time management because what coach's day is going to look like from 4 o'clock in the morning to 1900 is going to look different than what my schedule is going to look like from 04 to 1900. So having a conversation about how to plan out and manage your day or manage out the time you have during your day. All right, coach, what you got?
I see what you did. That was good. That was really good.
I'm trying
Benjamin.
not to say the P word.
No. You good. You good. I'm gonna say it anyway.
All right.
Benjamin, great question, brother. I want you to do me a favor, and you don't have to do it right now. You can do it after this conversation. I want you to look up the definition of manage. And when you look up the definition of manage, it's really going to tell you something along the line to like administer or to run or something that you're in control of, which means that time management means that you're in control of time, but you're not. You control no aspects of time. The only thing you control is what you do within the scope of time. That being said, there's no such thing as time management. There's only priorities within the facet of time that you actually have. So,
I told
time
y'all.
management is ultimately about priorities. Prioritize the things that you need to do within the scope of time that is available. And so, when you like, and I love talking about this, right? Because at the end of the day, let's just say there are 10 things that I have to do within the scope of a day, 24-hour period, not even 24 hours, let's say 8 hours. Well, if I focus my energies and efforts on all 10 of them, which one is important? Not one of them. None of them are important because I just deemed all of them important. But now I have to look at those 10 and I identified the top three on according to my priorities. And here's the deal: I throw myself 100% at number one. And then once I'm done, number two gets it. And then number three. And number three, within the scope of 8 hours, may not get everything that it was supposed to get. Well, that's where the next day come in, right? So now 7 through 10, forget it. It's not that important because it never hit the top three. It may not become important until Friday, Saturday, next Monday, whatever. Or it may be important to delegate it to somebody else to do. So that's one of the things I love talking about because at the end of the day, managers make this mistake a lot. They have 10 things on their list and they feel like they have to do all 10. No, you don't. You do the most important things and then you delegate the other 7 things. And here's the deal: you have to schedule within your time frame when you have to go and meet with them and connect with them and see how they're progressing along. How can you help them, so forth and so on, while still doing the things that you're supposed to do. That's what time management really is. It's not really time managing, it's managing me within the scope of the time that's available. So I prioritize, and then that helps everything go smoothly. So that's why I say there's no such thing as time management,
I
just
tell you,
prioritizing.
Benjamin, man,
Great
again,
question. I
brother.
love it.
Yeah, great question, man. I love it. We love these things. And look at this, brother. Look at that. Shout out to Nick D.
My bad.
She already knew it. I knew it too once I started thinking about it. That was a great question, man. Great question.
Absolutely.
Did I do this one? You do this one, right? No. What are some practical steps to rebuild momentum after a setback?
Well, first and foremost, shout out to Lisa Jackson. She said she liked that. I'm sorry. I like to acknowledge people when they speak up. Prioritize. I like to make a list and check them off. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. Like that is look, that's so important. I got lists around here too. Like
He got lists. He got
yeah,
boards. He got
I got lists. I got
calendars.
board. Look, I got look. This the Uncle Junior stuff right here. I mean, this the
That's
Coach
it.
Stoner stuff right here.
That's it.
Yeah,
Um, get,
sometimes yeah. Go ahead.
getting back to your question though, what are some practical steps to rebuild momentum after a setback? Well, what was the thing that made you excited about your goal in the beginning?
Mm.
Like that's what I like to start off with. Why did this goal excite you in the beginning? Let's erase the fact about how you feel about it right now. Turn back the hands of times in your head, because physically I can't do that like we just talked about. In your head, turn back the hands of time and ask yourself, what made me fall in love with that goal to start off with? Nurture that feeling, right? Nurture that feeling. Now, I like to say it needs to have meaning, and some of us fall in love with some type of fantastical interpretation of what you want. Well, that's going to be very hard to grab back because it never existed in the beginning. That's why we always say that goals have to have meaning. So go back and identify the meaning that you had in the beginning for that goal. Once you identify that, then what you do is you nurture it. You revisit that quite frequently. Even when you start feeling like you're getting tired, you don't want to do this, go back again. Make periodic meditative sessions to where you go back and revisit the feeling that you had in the beginning when you fell in love with that goal and wanted to throw yourself at it wholly until yourself said, I'm tired. That's okay. Self, get in line because we're going to do this goal. So keep going back to it. That's the thing I would say. I don't think we spend enough time meditating about the future that we want based upon the goals that we set. We'll set the goal and then we'll run away from it because at the end of the day, we abandon the feeling. Well, if the feeling was good enough to get you started, why wasn't the feeling good enough to make you remain consistent? And so that's the thing. So if you stay in that space, periodically take time, meditate on why, and then let that be your driving force. In fact, I'll do it do it at the beginning of the day. Do it early in the morning before you get your day started. Reimagine why this goal is important to you. Go back and revisit the meaning and then get the work. Next day, revisit the meaning, then get the work. Next day, revisit the meaning, then get the work. I promise you, the most important momentum. Once the ball start rolling, it's gonna roll. And then at
Mm.
the end of the day, you're gonna be celebrating your wins, because one of the things we talk about is celebrate all wins. I don't care how big or how small it is, you celebrate it. So if you close the deal, celebrate it. If you got somebody who is interested, celebrate it, right? Celebrate every accomplishment en route, because sometimes you got to pat your own self on the back. I'm just being honest. Like, there are um some people who struggle with it. Some people who struggle with celebrating anything. Some people just don't need celebrations. I get it. Both of those things can exist. But it's okay to give yourself a pat on the back when you accomplish those those um, those benchmarks en route to milestones, en route to goal accomplishment.
I think you did a really good job of explaining it from that perspective, and I think a lot of people fit into that category. I want to speak because I think at the end of the day, this can be very individualized, right? From to each person, right? So what it's going to take for coach to rebuild momentum is going to be different than what it's going to take for me. It's going to be different than Charlotte Jordan, than Shell, than Lisa Keys, than Nick D, than whoever else is out there listening. It's going to be different. So we're giving you some generality. So the perspective I'm going to speak from is if you decide that you have to at some point you have to go back and you figure out that you know what, I need to readjust my goal, right? So this is for someone who's at the point to where they are readjusting their goal, right? So now you decide that, hey, I'm going to work out for 7 days a week. You didn't work out for 7 days a week. Now you decide you're going to work out. You readjust it. Hey, I'm going to do 4 days a week, right? So what you do is now what you do is you focus on working out just those 4 days a week. Even though you're itching to want to work out five, you don't. You stay with the 4 days a week. You do that for a certain amount of time, and then you increase it until you get back to your original goal of wanting to work out for 7 days a week. So for some people, I think that's a way to get back to momentum too, is readjusting the goal and then creating baby steps towards the big goal. Again, like I said, instead you can't do seven. You tried to do it. You made it the first 10 days and then you fell off for the next 11. So maybe you, like I said, you've adjusted and you figured out that you need to adjust or make the goal smaller before you get to the big goal. So that's my thoughts on that one. You got
No, I
anything
got
or you want to
no.
move on?
I wanted to just address Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa asked. She said, "So meaning over feeling." Yes, because in the
Oh,
beginning,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. In the beginning, the meaning drives the feeling. But if I don't have meaning and I just have feelings, my feelings are rooted in nothingness, especially if I just made it up. So if I have a meaning first and the feelings stem from the meaning, then when I go back to revisit the goal itself, I'm going back to revisit the meaning so it can give me the feeling. So it becomes a relationship. The meaning creates the feeling, and then when I lose the feeling, I go back and revisit the meaning so the meaning can give me back the feeling. So it's like a relationship that I have with this goal that I have, but life happens, things happen, so forth and so on. And every now and then I got to go back to my goal and say, hey, I need some help. And so when I go back and revisit that goal mentally, it throws the feeling back to me because it's rooted in meaning. But if there is no meaning in the beginning, then there's nothing to throw back. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just raw feeling. I'm
Yeah.
excited. I want to join. I don't know what was the thing called.
Planet
Oh my
Fitness,
god! No! It was the washing powder thing, network marketing thing. Um, Come on, man.
Washington
Oh,
Power.
yeah, it was like network marketing to where you sold washing powder. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, for real? I
Um,
didn't know about that one.
anyway, whatever it was, I can't remember. Somebody know. Put the title in the chat when you guys come up with it. I can't remember.
Yeah, let me know.
Quick, it changed to Quick Star, but it used to be called something else in the beginning. But anyway,
Mm.
you go to a meeting and you see these people and they say, "Hey, you can do all this and you can make all this money and blah blah blah." Amway, there you go. Not Amway, 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 Amway. Thank you. So you go to this meeting and say, "Hey, yeah, you can make all this money and blah 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 and this all this stuff," and then you get excited about what you can do. But what's the meaning?
Mm-hmm.
What is the meaning? Well, I can help these people. I can help these people. I can help these people. Yeah, but got it. But what's the meaning behind you doing this? What is the meaning? Because just doing it isn't the goal. Doing it is a thing, but then you got to set a goal within the scope of doing it. So, what is the meaning behind that? Well, I don't have a meaning. Therefore, you're going to quit. And then when you
Mm,
quit, you're going to say, oh, it never worked for me. But the truth of the matter is, it's not that it didn't work for you. You didn't work for it because it never established meaning within you. Once it established meaning within you, now it's that thing. Amway was just a vehicle. And I'm only using Amway because it had a very, very bad rap years ago. That's
mm.
why it rebranded itself the Quick Star, right? Y'all don't judge me. Don't come for me. I'm just telling you what I know. And this is not a paid advertisement, none of that great stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and so I'm only using that as an example because there's hundreds, thousands of them out there. So it doesn't matter which one we talk about, right?
Hmm.
But it's not that thing that was ever supposed to be your meaning. That was just the vehicle. But a lot of times we confuse the meaning with the vehicle and we think the vehicle is the meaning. It is not. They have their own agenda. They can't assign meaning to me. I have to have meaning within the vehicle that I'm working on. Now, once I choose this as my vehicle, what is the meaning behind the goals that I set? Let's just say, and I don't know what the levels are. I want to be a diamond director. I just made that up. Don't look it up because I don't think it exists there. I want to be a diamond director. Well, why do you want to be a diamond director? Because when I become a diamond director, now I can have a healthy sized team that I can train on my own. Why do you want to train a healthy sized team? Because I know out there somewhere there's a person like me. When they were young, when I was younger, I struggled. I couldn't do this. I didn't know how to do this. I didn't have anybody to teach me this. So I want to be that person that pours into them, and we're going to use this vehicle to get them to the point to where they can make the decisions to influence their own life. That is meaning. So now when you go back and you revisit that, that's the thing that's going to continue to give you the feeling back.
I like that, and I'm gonna add something small to that, a little small one analogy. Um, Meaning over feeling. Again, shout out to Lisa. I appreciate you for being here tonight. Yes, meaning over feeling. 4 o'clock in the morning when the alarm goes off and it's time to work out. If my meaning for getting up to work out is so I can have longevity and be around here for my wife and my kids, that's gonna trump me, no pun, that's going to trump me not that's going to trump me wanting to stay in the bed because I don't feel like getting out of the bed at 4 o'clock in the morning because it's freaking cold when I open up the sheets and I got a warm body laying in the bed next to me. I don't want to get up. I'd rather lay here. But because if I get up, I'm working on being able to have more of these mornings to not want to get up, it's worth it. So that's right there another example of meaning over feeling. I don't feel like waking up and going to work out every morning, or every day that I do. I don't feel like going to work all the time. But these are things that we do sometimes because they have meaning. So sometimes we need a paycheck. But with that being said, man, I think we done with these questions for tonight, man. I'm gonna slide down to I think one of these one of these scenarios. So we got three. We got love life, we got fitness, and we got social life. Which one you want to roll with, Coach? You pick one. That's what we're gonna roll with.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. It doesn't matter
All
to
right,
me,
there
man.
we go. Mo sound like love. So love life. Here we go, folks, ladies and gentlemen. You and your partner had a goal to go on monthly date nights, but a few months slipped by due to some busy schedules. How can you reconnect and prioritize this goal moving forward?
For me, I struggle with this because at the end of the day, I mean, why wasn't you and the partner the priority in the beginning?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm gonna start with. However, comma, I think it's easy. I think I kind of just gave the answer to this, right? Go back and identify why was this a goal in the beginning? What was the meaning behind that goal? If the meaning was for us to, you know, connect, reconnect, make sure that we don't lose connection, things of that nature, something pointed back to the relationship, right? If that is the meaning behind it, then that should be easy for us to identify and make that the number one priority. If that's the number one priority, then what are the other things that, due to busy schedules, that are affecting the number one priority? Because if it's work, I'm gonna tell you that's not number one. Sorry, not a popular response. I get it. Your work is never number one. Work has to fall someplace like three or four. It's never one and it's not two. Okay. And if I'm being completely transparent, according to me, my partner would be number two because y'all know who number one is in my life. So though nothing will ever interfere with those two, right? There's going to have to be some understanding in there as well. But go back and sit down and let's have conversation. Let's reprioritize our commitments. Number one, right, to the most high, number two to ourselves, and number three to whatever we decide number three is, the kids or whatever the case that looks like. Then, if that's the case, those things due to busy schedule should not be due to busy schedule. Those things should fall like fives, whatever the case may be. So if I'm working and my schedule says 9 to 5 at 4:50, I'm packing my stuff up and I'm looking at the clock. I'm sorry, I'm that person. Y'all can talk about me later, right? I'm looking at the clock because at 5 o'clock, I'm clocking out and I'm out the door. Now, there may be some days because I have a project I may be required to work a little. Well, not required. I may need to work a little longer, right? And every now and then that's okay. But for me, when I cross the thresholds of that house, you can ask me how my day is. My answer may be like this: It was good. You're looking for details. You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it, I promise you. Because at the end of the day, work stays outside the door. I think one of the biggest mistakes we do is we bring work home and we spend a lot of our times talking about work with our spouse, which in turn, we're still working. It's not that we're trying to share our work day with our spouse. My spouse don't really care about the details about my work day. My spouse cares about me and how was my day. That's what they're asking. But we confuse that with, oh, they want me to share the details of my job. No, I didn't apply for your job. I applied for you. It's two different things, right? So leave work outside. That might be one of the issues that go to do the busy schedule, right? Um, and at the end of the day, I think if we make sure that we put work in its proper place, our volunteer efforts, because we probably should be volunteering together, um, those things in its proper place, then it should be easy to go on a monthly date if that's what we plan to do.
Um, my answer to this is one word, but then I'm going to expound. Execute. So how can you reconnect and prioritize this goal? Execute. You already came up with the goal. All y'all did was stop. Sometimes all you have to do is just start doing the thing that you said that you already was going to do. You just stop doing. Sometimes you don't need to do no whole bunch of revisiting. Sometimes you don't need to be rearranging and changing stuff. Sometimes you just need to execute what you already had in place.
That's good.
Literally today, less than 2 hours ago, I was sitting at not this computer, but the computer behind it. And I had three things that I was going to redo today. My daily schedule, that's what I do every single day when I come home. Redo my workout plan, and then redo my meal plan. I redid my meal plan. I redid my daily schedule, but I didn't touch my workout plan. You know why? Because I hadn't been consistent at it. So I was like, bro, your workout plan ain't broke. You broke. So I'm the one who broke when it comes to my workout plan right now. The plan is good. So sometimes the plan can be good. Sometimes, just like the question saying, we slip away. But sometimes it's as simple as just getting back on the wagon and executing the goal that you already set forward. So that's my 2 cents on that, man. But man, we just over an hour, man. But I do first of all, I want to thank the chat and everything like that for being here tonight, man. Definitely thank you for being here tonight, man. If you want to, I kind of want to do real quick a quick actionable advice before we sign out, if you're okay with that.
I am
Hopefully
okay
the
with that.
chat is all right, man. So where are these buttons at, man?
I
Let me
got
hit
you,
this.
man. I got
You
you.
got
I'm
me.
working I
All right.
got you. I'm
This,
understanding you're dealing with some stuff over there.
yeah.
So here we go.
I'll let you go since I got to close out.
There you go. All right, great conversation. I think when it comes down to it, what to do when you fall behind on your goals. Again, go back, identify the meaning behind you setting the goal in the beginning. Again, once you identify the meaning, tap into the meaning so that meaning can give you that feeling back in return. Um, Revisit your goal. Make sure that your goal has been clearly defined. Again, making SMART goals sound great, but again, make the goal, make sure that the goal actually has milestones and each milestone has benchmarks because that's your stair step all the way to accomplishment. If you do those things, if you define your goals in that aspect, if you continue to revisit the meaning behind your goal and you meditate on that meaning every morning before you start the tasks that you're supposed to accomplish, remembering, like my man Benjamin Collier asked, remember, time management is nothing but prioritizing your time, prioritizing your most important tasks within the amount of time that you have. So every day after your meditation, make sure that you prioritize and accomplish the tasks that move you forward. There are different tasks that we're doing. There are tasks that we accomplish and that actually help us to accomplish things, whether they're operational tasks, and then there are other tasks that we're going to accomplish that actually gets around the other things, structural things. We need to make sure that we have the infrastructure in place so that when we do the operational aspects of it, the infrastructure can support the operation. If we did not construct our goals in that fashion, a lot of times we're doing busy work, but we're spinning our wheels because we're trying to figure out why we're not moving forward, but we don't have the infrastructure to allow us to move forward. So I know I said a lot, so go back and hit the replay, listen to it again because that was my actionable advice.
Man, that was great, man. My actual advice for this week is this: over the next week, if you are one of those people who have fallen behind in your goals, first of all, I don't want you to beat yourself up over it, right? Falling behind in your goals is just part of the process. What I literally want you to do is just go back, like Coach said, and revisit that plan. Go back and see the why. Why did you have this goal? Does the goal mean anything to you? If you figure out that the goal actually means something to you, then dig a little bit deeper and figure out the reason why you fell behind your goal. Once you figure out the why you fell behind in your goal, now it's time to come up with a revised or maybe come up with the same plan going forward. But at the end of the day, you have to figure out why you fell behind in your goals, and then at some point you have to figure out a plan going forward to accomplish whatever goal you had set forth, or either come up with a different goal. So at the end of the day, say it real quickly, identify the goal. Once you fall behind in your goal, figure out if the goal has meaning, and if the goal does have meaning, then figure out a plan and see if you need to adjust anything going forward so you can still accomplish the goal. And that is my actionable advice for today. Again, Coach, man, I really appreciate you for being here tonight, man. Do you have anything else that you want to say to anybody in the chat, or anything else before we roll out this evening, before I close this out?
Yeah, as always, man, chat's on fire. We greatly appreciate you guys. Whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, it doesn't really matter. We appreciate you being here. If you're on, I think I put in the show notes, but if you're on YouTube, make sure that you click on that pinned link up top because that's the new funnel. I think you'll appreciate that. Make sure that you share it with your friends, that link as well because, like I said, we're doing something different this year, and I think you guys will like it overall. Um, that's all I got, bro. What you got?
Nothing, man. That's it, man. We will catch y'all Friday night on Power Perspective podcast. And again, next Tuesday for another episode of Coach's Corner. And with that being said, man, we out.